Annyeonghaseyo to each and every one of you. In today's video, I wanted to show you another salt and pepper dish, and this one is going to be made with pork spare ribs. This is probably one of my favorite salt and pepper dish, so hopefully you can give it a try. So let's just get to it and start cooking. Let's go. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is to marinate our pork. So I have here about 2 pounds of pork spare ribs with the bones still attached to it. You can also use any part of the pork that you prefer. I do like to use spare ribs, the riblets, any meat with good fat to meat ratio is good. So to this, I'm going to add in some ground white pepper. I have some sugar, some garlic powder, soy sauce, oyster sauce, some sesame oil, and I have some Chinese Shaoxing wine, and this, you can buy this at any Asian grocery store. Usually they will have a variety of different kinds and brands. This is the one I'm using. And adding this cooking wine in there helps tenderize the meat and remove any unpleasant odor. And that's it for the seasoning. Mix this up really good and allow this to sit at room temperature for 2 hours to marinate, or you could put it in the fridge overnight and then fry it up the next day. While the meat is marinating, go ahead and prep all your other ingredients. So for vegetable wise, I'm using here some diced jalapenos. You can add as much as you want. And here I have some thinly sliced garlic, and I'm using about 6 cloves or roughly around 2 tablespoons of thinly sliced garlic. And then I'm also going to be adding some sliced green onions. And that's pretty much it. So for the salt and pepper seasoning, in a bowl I have some freshly cracked black pepper. I'm going to add in some sea salt, some garlic powder, and mushroom seasoning. And this is your salt and pepper mixture. So we're going to set this aside. Now, once the pork is marinated, we are going to add in some potato starch. Now, I like using potato starch in here because it gives it a really light and crispy texture. If you don't have potato starch, you can also use cornstarch. It works just as well, but I do prefer potato starch for this dish in particular. So mix this really good and make sure the pork is fully coated in with the starch. And we're going to let this sit for 5 minutes before we start cooking it to allow the pork to absorb and soak up all of that starch. And we are ready to fry. So here I have some vegetable oil. You can use any neutral oil of your choice. I'm going to heat it up to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to add in all of the pork. And then we're going to cook it for about 8 to 10 minutes. Stir it every once in a while until the pork is golden and crispy. And this is what the pork should look like. Super golden crispy. Place it into a colander and allow this to drain while we cook our vegetable. But I do want to show you how light and crispy and delicious this pork already is. So while the pork is draining, in a really good non-stick pan, we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of the oil that we cooked the pork in and put the heat up to medium. We're going to add in the sliced garlic, give it a good stir, and allow this to cook for about 1 to 2 minutes until you see some browning on the edges. Once you start to see some browning, we're going to stop there and we're going to add in all of the jalapeno peppers. Stir this and cook this for about 1 or 2 minutes. Depending on your preference, you could cook it even longer, but I'm just going to cook it for roughly around 2 minutes, and then that's pretty much it. We're going to turn off the heat and then add all of the fried pork and the seasoning. Give this a really good mix and we are pretty much done. Go ahead and plate this and finish it off with the sliced green onions. Now for this dish, I love to eat it with a side of freshly steamed rice, but you can also eat it by itself like this. It's very crispy, super light in texture, full of flavor, and one of my favorite salt and pepper dish. So hopefully you can give this recipe a try. add it to your salt and pepper list. Until then, I will see you in my next video.